In the frozen silence of the Kuiper Drift, just beyond Neptune's shadow, the exploratory vessel Andromeda's Lament drifted silently toward a signal that hadn't existed a week ago. Originating from a barren planetoid known as Eltros IX, it pulsed in perfect rhythm, 6 chimes, 1 pause. Then again. Then silence. Commander Alara Vance stood on the bridge, arms folded, as the alien rhythm played over the comms, laced with static and a low harmonic that triggered nausea if listened to for too long. The crew had dubbed it the chant. Not language, not code, but intentional, deliberate, alive. Eltros IX was officially uninhabitable. Toxic winds, unstable magnetosphere, and an icy crust 3 kilometers deep. And yet here they were, being pulled in, not by curiosity alone, but by necessity. Earth had gone silent 3 days ago. No comms, no satellites, just blackout. The only signal left in the void came from this grave planet. As Andromeda's Lament descended into orbit, automated systems failed one by one. Gravity grew inconsistent. Time flickered, bending seconds into hours and collapsing hours into blinking moments. Outside, the stars warped. The ship's AI, Luma, began speaking in reverse audio. Half the crew heard whispers in their ears even with helmets sealed. Vance ordered a surface landing. They touched down inside a vast circular depression, unnaturally symmetrical. Beneath their landing struts, the ice cracked open like petals, revealing a staircase descending into darkness lit by ambient blue veins that pulsed beneath the surface as if the planet itself breathed. And then they saw it. A door not built but grown, organic yet metallic, alive yet inert, embedded into the icy crust. It had no lock, no hinges. But it opened when they approached, not outwards or inwards, but as if reality itself split to allow entry. Inside, everything changed. Gravity inverted. Voices ceased. Time stopped tracking. The crew stepped forward, their boots no longer clanging but humming against the floor. They had crossed into the Obsidian Wake, the place that wasn't a place. And it was waiting for them. As the crew of Andromeda's Lament entered the threshold, the atmosphere changed. Oxygen levels stabilized without their suits. The air was warm, not just warm but humid like inside lungs. Condensation formed on their visors, and for a moment, everyone heard breathing, not their own. A deeper, slower inhalation, something immense. The corridor they entered pulsed. Walls weren't walls, they were like tracheal tubes, lined with iridescent membranes that shimmered as if they responded to touch. Commander Vance signaled to record everything. No tech responded. No recordings worked. Their watches spun erratically, showing different years. Vance's read 3024. Harper's blinked 1841. Deeper in, the crew discovered vast alcoves, each holding a humanoid figure. But none were human. Tall, eyeless beings with translucent skin and luminous bones. They stood frozen, arms crossed, as if in stasis. Not statues, organisms. One twitched, then stilled. A warning, a dream inside muscle and sinew. Biologist Dr. Lin placed a scanner on one figure's chest. The scanner sparked, then liquefied in her hands. Something inside the alien stirred. Its head turned, slowly, deliberately, toward her. No movement from its body, just the head, but no mouth, no eyes, no emotion. The breath returned audible. All at once, the crew fell to their knees. Nosebleeds, tremors, and then silence. A beam of black light erupted from the ceiling, wrapping each of them in perfect strands of energy, suspending them midair. They didn't scream. Couldn't. The energy threads rewrote the space between cells. A voice, not heard but known, whispered inside their skulls. Return what was taken, or remain what you were not. They were released. Dropped to the floor. Something had just scanned them, deeper than DNA. It had seen everything. Beyond the Hall of Breath lay a chamber unlike any the crew had imagined, an inverted dome floating in darkness, anchored by glowing tendrils of energy. At its center, suspended midair, was the memory prism, a massive, floating crystalline structure that rotated silently, fractals shifting like intelligent glass. As the crew approached, the prism pulsed and projected memories, not their own, but someone else's. An alien war. Civilizations crushed under the sky. Great machines crawling across stars, devouring planets to fuel something far worse. Alara Vance stepped closer, entranced. Her eyes glazed. She began to whisper names she'd never heard before, events she'd never lived. The prism was uploading something into her. Not information. History. Then the scenes turned darker, humans. Earth but cracked and scorched. Cities flooded with ash. A dark monolith stood in Central Park and above it floated the same prism. This was not prophecy. It was déjà vu. Dr. Lynn tried to pull Vance back but was thrown across the chamber by an invisible force. The prism focused on Vance. Her nose bled. She screamed. And then, suddenly, the prism shattered. Not broken, opened. Inside was a creature. Not dead. Not asleep. It had been dreaming. And now it was awake. The crew fled. Fleeing the prism chamber, the crew entered a new sector that seemed underground, yet the geometry didn't match gravity. Down was forward. Walls looped behind them. Lights bent around corners they hadn't passed. This was the Crypt of Echoes. Dozens of rooms, hexagonal in shape, housed spheres suspended in anti-gravity fields. Each sphere emitted a different sound, a child laughing, an ocean wave, a violin. But the sounds weren't audio, they were emotional. Memories converted into tone. One orb floated toward Vance. Her own voice echoed out of it, sobbing. She didn't remember ever sobbing like that. The spheres were memory vaults. Not just from the aliens, but from anyone who entered the base. They had been watched. Dr. Lynn, desperate to understand, touched one. Her body convulsed. Her eyes rolled back. She saw herself dying, 16 versions of herself across parallel lives. Some burned. Some drowned. One was torn apart by something mechanical. Vance smashed the orb. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red strands dropped from the ceiling, thick, snake-like tendrils. They dragged Lynn into a crevice in the wall. The others tried to follow, but the floor melted beneath them. Each crew member fell into a separate room. The Obsidian Wake had judged them. Commander Vance awoke alone in a chamber pulsing with golden red light. The walls weren't solid, they shifted like liquid crystal, forming neural patterns and collapsing into grids. At the center of the chamber hovered a monolithic structure, a cube that seemed older than matter itself. Its surface etched with glyphs that re-etched themselves in real time. This was the core, the nerve center of the alien base. The architect's core. A voice echoed, not external but within her mind. Male, female, neither. It spoke in riddles. All form is permission. You were granted shape. Will you surrender it? Her body lifted off the floor. Skin prickled. Bones pulsed. Data flowed into her bloodstream, memories not her own. She saw the architect, a being that once orchestrated stellar harmony across galaxies. But it had been betrayed, its systems corrupted by a parasite species, ancient, cold, and without form. They had fled from another universe, invading this one through the fractures of forgotten machines. Humanity's rise had reactivated dormant triggers. Earth wasn't the target. It was the lock. And Vance, she was the key. Her body arched. Eyes rolled. Veins glowed gold. She began to transform, not physically but conceptually. Her mind bent across 4 dimensions. She could see the ship, the base, Earth, the alien parasite, and all of time folding inward like a collapsing lung. Then, a decision. The architect gave her control. A panel opened from the floor. It displayed one button. Simple. Red. Humble. Reboot the wake, the voice whispered. Vance reached forward. Meanwhile, Dr. Lynn awoke in what looked like her childhood bedroom. Same window. Same bed. Same toys. But wrong. The colors were too saturated. The shadows too dark. And there were no stars outside, just a swirling storm of violet plasma. She stood and opened the door. Instead of a hallway, she entered a chamber where every crew member was present, seated in a circle. But they were not themselves. They shimmered. Face shifted. One moment Alara, the next someone else. Then no face at all. A holographic lattice pulsed in the ceiling, feeding data through the room. This was the reunion chamber. A simulation and a reckoning. The wake was showing them their possibilities, every version of themselves across all timelines. Murderers. Heroes. Cowards. Gods. Some were not even human. Each version told a story. What they had chosen. What they had broken. You are not one, the wake said, its voice now unified. You are legion within skin. One by one, the illusions collapsed. Each crew member stood alone again. But something had changed. They were connected. Synaptically. Psychically. Permanently. They could now feel each other's thoughts. Pain. Memories. And they knew the wake had created them as conduits. Not soldiers. Not explorers. Messengers. They were to carry the architect's last memory to the stars before the parasite devoured the next sun. The final chamber was a void. No walls. No floor. Just ash suspended in zero-gravity space, drifting through shafts of pale light. In the distance, a gate. Not a door. A wound. A tear in reality that pulsed with cosmic entropy. The ash gate. Vance and the surviving crew, what remained of them, stood before it. Their bodies felt heavier, more atomic. They no longer existed in standard time. They had become tethered to the Wake's heartbeat. Once you pass, said the Wake, you become more than language. You become echo. The gate flickered, and within it they saw Earth. Burning. Not physically, but spiritually. The alien parasite had already seeded its dream into human culture. War. Division. Isolation. The only way to stop it was to awaken the minds of billions. And the only way to do that was to become myth. They entered. Inside, light ceased. Sound dissolved. Thought was nonlinear. And then they were back. On the bridge of Andromeda's Lament. Systems online. Orbiting Earth. No time had passed. But something had changed. Earth's sky had a second moon now, a black sphere, invisible to the naked eye, detectable only through thought. And every child born since that day carried a single, shared dream. A hallway. A prism. A whisper. Return what was taken. Or remain what you were not. The Obsidian Wake had succeeded. And it had not truly let them go.